So this video is funny. I was leaving Egypt and I got to Cyprus and had all kinds of problems. This video is just about me rambling into the phone after having a cascade of just travel issues pile on, right? You have one little problem, then another problem, then another problem, then another problem. And it was just the funniest thing. You know, it was like every step I took was 3 steps in the wrong direction. Yeah, I just got the camera or the iPhone going today, so. But I just wanted to kind of point something out. By all accords, by all accounts, by all measurements, yesterday should have just been a horrible, horrible day for me. The night before, I showed up at Airbnb, or it was like an Airbnb, and it was just a disaster. I get off the plane at like 9 o'clock, 8:30, get out of the airport at 9. I get there at like 9:30, and 9:30, 10. Can't find the place. It's not easy to find. There's no lights on in the hallway. I'm going up these stairs in the blind. I finally get up there. I've got both my phones. I'm using them as lights, trying to sort this out, get the key box, get in there. And it's not at all what they advertised. You know, in my mind, reading the thing, I'm booked a, 1-bedroom apartment. Well, it was a 4-bedroom apartment with 4 locking doors and very little noise, if any. The doors don't really lock. They're more like a bathroom lock than a actual lock. And then the sliding door to outside didn't lock. There's 1 bathroom, and each room is slated to take up to 4 people. So 1 bathroom where you can't really even use the toilet or the shower and the shower separately, and up to 16 people. Now obviously I'm 1, so maybe up to another 12 people, and I'm supposed to live there for a month, sharing this bathroom, and the noise was just, atrocious. And my door squeaked, so every time I opened the door, pardon me, it had to wake people up. Just a joke. But what I do, I just knuckled down, I got on a bus and I lost my wallet. Oh wow, shit just got better, right? So I had some points. I booked a hotel on points and went and chilled out, sorted out a plan. I lost 2 credit cards, a bunch of cash. Not a big deal. I'll get that sorted. But it was just this snowball effect. And I just smiled through it. I was sitting there at the bus station. I walked up as the bus I needed walked away or drove away. And the lady's like, helping me out. Super nice, sweet, friendly person. She's like, well, there's a coffee shop over there, but you probably miss your next bus if you go, that far. And I'm like, screw it. I just went and got a cup of coffee and just slowed everything down. And at 11 o'clock at night, after spending an hour on customer service, I was pretty upset, right? The neighbors were coming in, banging around. The exterior door wouldn't lock. The interior door doesn't really lock. The noise was just crazy. And so finally, I just, I need a shower after Egypt desperately, because, when you go to the airport at Egypt, they make you sit out in the hot sun, get all sweaty and dusty and sandy for an hour, and then you go inside. And, it was just a miserable way to travel. And the miserable end to, what was a good day. And then I get to this Airbnb, it's a nightmare. So I just lay down in my clothes. I get up in the morning, pack my stuff, make a video and leave. And then I lose my wallet, go to breakfast, have a great breakfast, lose my wallet. And just all this was just snowballing. And, finally I just sat there and went and had a coffee and just hit reset and back to life. And today, I've got a few things I need to do, and my plans radically changed, but just hitting reset, right? I still need to sort out credit cards. I still have all these little tasks to do, but that's just the point of this whole video, is those are just now tasks. There's no crisis, there's no drama, there's no crazy emotions. My emotions today was, check this out. They've got quail eggs at the breakfast. I love quail eggs. Haven't had them since Japan. Oh, these are seasoned too. I didn't know that. Oh wow, it's like a lemony vinegar. Wow, sorry. I'm excited, but I'm gonna sit down and enjoy this breakfast. I got a double espresso there, some dried pineapple, some fruit. Actually, like, this is real legit ham or bacon and ham. I got some fresh eggs, and it's just a crazy, amazing day. Of course, the clouds came in. It's a little windy, right? But all that drama, I didn't let it stick to me. And everything that was drama, was heartache, was, nastiness in my life is now just a list of tasks, small tasks I'll get around to. And a lot of that goes back to planning, a lot of that goes back to preparation, and a lot of it is just mindset. It's just having the wherewithal to understand, like, if I get upset, what's it gonna do for me? If I, stress out about it, what's it gonna do for me? Solve my problems. My immediate problem was a place to sleep, and I needed Wi-Fi, right? Because in the course of the conversation with the booking agent, all of a sudden, when they're on the phone with a property owner, the Wi-Fi just goes dead. Not suspicious at all that the Wi-Fi just happens to go dead, 10 minutes after, or 5 minutes after the booking agent gets on the phone with them for a second time that night. So I had no Wi-Fi. I couldn't find, Wi-Fi that was easy to access. So I needed Wi-Fi. I needed sleep. I needed a shower, and I resolved all that. And then everything else just slipped away. So why am I taking the time to regurgitate all this and post it online? Because if you're out there and traveling and having bad days or bad problems or whatever, what I found, one of the keys to, being happier is just learning to cut that off. And okay, that happened, what's next? And I learned a lot of this from How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. I never really knew much about Stoicism, and that's a good book to read. If you're not as well educated like me, I'm not super educated, high school, and maybe half a dozen books after high school, dozen books. So, I didn't get exposed to a lot of that in a way that stuck. And when I read that book, it really changed my life, and it got me from being, scared to go do things because of what could happen to shit. It was kind of funny. I was sitting there talking to the gal at the train station. She's like, "Oh, I had a bad day, da da da." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of having a bad day too, but it'll be over soon." And she's like, "What?" And I explained to her. She's like, "You lost your credit cards, you lost this, you lost your wallet." It happens, man. It just, thankfully it's only happened a few times, but, if you can't laugh and smile about it now, when you think you will in 5 years, and that's part of the perspective change I'll add here, and then I'll get to eating, is, I forgot where I picked it up, but somebody said, when something really bad happens and you think about it like from 5 years in the future, it's probably going to be a funny story. So why not start telling the funny story as soon as you can? Why wait the 5 or 10 years to tell the funny story, right? And it's telling the funny story out loud with your voice, giving it strength, and telling it not so much for people around you, but for you, right? Telling it for you. So when I tell the funny story about me losing my wallet, yeah, I just made a stupid mistake. I fell asleep on the bus and boom, it's gone, right? So I'm choosing to frame and set the perspective of that event now instead of waiting for time to do it. And that choice prevents all kinds of other problems and headache and stress, and that was a real key point, and I probably didn't articulate that really well, so let me try one more time. If something really bad happens, other than like a death, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, right? But when something bad happens, and you can look at this and from 5 years in the future and go, oh, this is going to be a funny story. Why not start telling that funny story now? Because it just makes life easier, makes life happier, and there's just so much to it. But in the end, I'm just so grateful to have learned that. I'm so grateful to have friends who stood by me and helped me sort this process out in my head, and gain these and cement these ideas in my head, and people I can call and say, hey, can you help me with this? People, it's just so, I don't know. I'm blessed with friends I don't. Yep. So I have friends. There's so many things I want to say, and none of them are really accurate. Better than I deserve, all these things, right? And who's to say what friends you deserve or don't deserve, right? I'm not trying to say that. It's just I don't really have good words for it. But I have friends. I don't always understand why some of my friends are friends with me, because they are such amazing people. I just don't understand that. And that's the honest truth. And I don't know how else to word it. There's, I would like to have better words for that. I just don't have them yet. And I'll find them eventually, hopefully before I find a dirt nap. But I have always been blessed with friends that are, I don't know how to say it. And it's not because they're there to help me with, this or that, or, financial or fiscal or whatever. What I value from my friends is the advice they give me, the time they give me, the guidance they give me, and the examples they give me, right? By seeing how they do what they do in their daily life, their work life, whatever, it's a good example for me to see, understand, and sometimes mimic. So that was a really rough night, and I was really, you can see how tired I am, and I was really just so grateful and happy that everything, worked out. It was a very, very tense night, because it, wasn't having a lot of luck finding what I needed, and when it all fell together, it wasn't the best trip in the world, but what are you going to do when, the hotel you're staying at, or your Airbnb or whatever, it falls through, and now it's in the, shoulder season, and prices are skyrocketing, and then you lose your wallet, lose your credit cards, what are you going to do, right? And this was that test, and I came through it with flying colors in my perspective, right? Because I had a great time. Had a really great time. I'm hoping to go back to Cyprus. But this was the morning after. And I talk about the books. I talk about How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. The other one that really helped me there was Trevor Mowat's It Takes What It Takes. And it's not about not feeling the emotions. It's not about this for me. It's about, let all the emotions come and go, enjoy them, hate them, whatever it is, right? The emotions are the emotions. But those books taught me to, in the middle of the emotional chaos of whatever drama is going on, to be able to still focus in on, okay, what's my next step? Okay, what's my next step? Okay, I just missed the bus. It's going to be 2 hours. What do I do now, right? Okay, I don't have my wallet. Okay, what do I do now? And just that, even though I've got all those emotions spinning in the background, it was just that, the practicality of it, and being able to, switch straight to the practicality of it and form a plan and go right back into it. And still, the emotions are there. I'm not saying, suppress them or hide them or whatever, but don't make decisions with emotions. And that's what it was, the real lesson for me that I learned, way too late in life, was the emotions are great, but always go back to a decision-making process based on what's in front of you, based on what are your options, based on what are your resources, based on what your goals are, right? Your goals, options, and resources, and there's other things, right? But relying on that or having that in my back pocket, that process in my back pocket, and being able to drop it, when I've got a cascade of travel issues popping up, was just so great. And, I wouldn't have gotten there without all the amazing friends I had in my past, that helped me transition to this different mindset. Because I was, 10 years ago, I never would have moved through that so smoothly. And I did. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. It's kind of a snapshot of what happens when, how I dealt with things when things go sideways. Probably pretty boring video for most, but it's a video I'll want to see in 10 or 15 years. And remember all the little stupid drama that happened that day, because it was a funny, again, drama is usually really funny in 5 years, right? And I had the wherewithal to press the fast forward button on my perspective that day. And I was sitting there just laughing about it all day. Went and got coffee, came back, missed the second bus. Okay, whatever, right? Met somebody else, talked to a couple of cabbies, right? And just cruise through life, I'm not saying I wasn't angry, but I didn't let those emotions run free, right? I let the other emotions run free because they're better. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you have a great day. And remember, when you travel, bad things can and will happen. How you deal with them, that's your choice. That's what you have control over. And that's what matters to me, right? Is what do I do? What do I have control over? What can I do to make this moment in time a little bit better? So take care.